So welcome to How to Report Bugs. In this video we're going to find a bug in one of the methods inside the engine. I'm going to show you how to fix that bug so that when you are running your game you get a AIM solution every single frame like you can see on the logs at the bottom left of the screen. And then we're also going to go ahead and move all of our code across to forward declarations like this so that we are doing what we suggested a couple of videos ago. So I'll see you in there. So we've got this slightly strange problem. Let's clear the log, just recap what it is really quickly. Taken a quick sample there of a whole bunch of frames. Let's have a quick look at the log. A bit more space would be great. We can see that for most frames there's no AIM solution found for some reason. So where's this falling down? Well, I'll show you the general approach, then I want you to go through and work out exactly what the problem is because it's going to be a really good exercise. I could of course have glossed over this problem and ignored it and just set the code in a way that works, but that's not going to really help you. It's important that when you get something going on that you're not sure what's happening like this, that you know how to debug it. So in case you're curious, firstly, how I discovered that this is where the AIM problem happens, what I did is I started right up at the tank player controller, and I just made sure that this aim towards crosshair method is even being called. So I did something like that, and then I just said aim called, or aim towards crosshair called, etc. And then I did that, looked at the logs, saw that that was being called every frame, took the logs away, went down to the tank, made sure that the AIM@, was being called inside the tank CPP, and so on until I got down to the tank aiming component and discovered that actually the problem is that this have aim solution, this suggest projectile velocity method, is being inconsistent in returning a result or not. Now look, I'd have to own up to a mistake here, but it's not my mistake causing the problem actually. I have made a mistake with these parameters. If you go after launch speed, you'll see that the next parameter expected is a boolean for high arc equaling false. And I've actually put in the trace option. I can't just skip the collision radius and the override gravity. But what will actually be happening here is that this enum will just effectively return false in this case. So doing that would be the same thing. But what's interesting with this method, and there's a problem with the method, the way the method runs, is that all of the parameters after launch speed are not only optional, but they have default values. The high arc, the collision radius, all those things have default values. So let's just try running this without any more parameters after launch speed and see what happens. Of course, I need to compile. And what I think is going to happen is that we're actually still going to have the problem. We're going to get this no AIM solution found. I'll clear the logs while I wait for the compile. There you go. Most of the time there's no AIM solution. That's going to break everything because when we come to actually moving the barrel, we need to be making sure that we are getting an AIM instruction every single frame. We need to be able to rely on that. We don't want execution flow to stop here unless we happen to be pointing at the sky or some other unsolvable solution, and then it's place, and then it's fine for there to be no AIM solution there. The barrel shouldn't try and move to hit the sky because it can't. But there absolutely should be a solution when I'm aiming at that point on the ground, not just a solution every however many frames, but every single frame. All right, now it turns out that if here you come in and actually put in false, 0, 0, and then crazily the default value, as I'm going to not trace, we don't need a debug trace, just giving it this default value makes all the difference. Watch this, it's ridiculous. Because when you call a function, it shouldn't matter if you miss out a parameter that has the default method, right? The function should still work or complain that it's not going to work. But in this case, it's actually changing its behavior. Look, now every single frame, we are getting an AIM solution, not a single one missed. So that's what you need to be doing in your code. You need to be saying false launch speed, then false 0, 0, and then the do not trace. It's that bottom line that makes the difference. If I comment that out and recompile, it's that one that makes the difference. So let's just show that, and then I think I've rubbed the point home. Now, interestingly, I've also tried this. What have I done? I've probably left a trailing comma. Yep, there you go. So let's recompile. I've also tried this in version 4.12.2 of Unreal, and it doesn't work there either. So please don't yet upgrade to 4.12.2. In fact, we're going to keep this entire project in 4.11. It's very easy to manage multiple versions. You click Add Versions and install whatever previous version you want. All right, I don't really care which subversion you're in particularly, but I want us to keep Building Escape in 4.10, Battle Tank in 4.11, then the next section will go up to 4.12. So the problem doesn't go away in 4.12, and I will report this bug, and I'll even show you how to report it in just a second. But let's just take a look that, there you go, the problem's back. Okay, so I must specify this parameter. And what that does is it gives us a way of giving Epic a very easy reproducible bug. What you can do for them is you can say something like comment, or comment this parameter, or even line. If you really want to be funny, you could put the comma there and do that. So you can just say comment this line to produce bug, okay? And then if they were to come along and comment this line like that, then the bug would occur. And then what you can do is you can commit your work, and then you can push it up to the internet. And once it's on the web, you can go to, let's just say GitHub, and let's just take a look, github.com Ben Tristram. Click follow, just to keep the only child in me happy. So you go and find where you have committed it to the web. Now let's just imagine that it's this commit here. Now that's publicly available, right? So you could copy the link address and say, hey, Epic, and it would be a good idea if you did this. I've got this bug. The way that you reproduce it is, number one, you go get this checkout from here, from this link address, and that will be a link to the exact commit, so they can go get the code. You open it in version 4.11.2 or 4.12.2. You then go into the tank aiming component CPP and you comment out line 40, and you will find, and then what you do is you run the game, compile and run the game. You don't need to tell them to compile, right? You run the game and notice that there's no aim solution every frame, only if we specify what should be an optional parameter. And by doing that, you'd be giving them a very specific bug reproduction scenario, because whenever you report a bug, it's important that you report it in a way that the people who are receiving that bug report are able to do something about it. So I will go ahead and report this bug after the video. You probably should report the same bug as well. I think what we need to do just for the rest of the video, while we're in the spirit of getting our code working properly, is I'm going to to-do report bug, and I'm also going to make sure that this line is commented here, that parameter must be present to prevent bug. Okay, to remind yourself not to remove that parameter. I'll also put things back in a sensible line and just leave a default to report the bug. Okay, the other thing I want to do, and that's going to be your challenge, is I want to move to forward declarations, just rolling you back 2 or 3 lectures for all of these classes. Remember that in the header files, we shouldn't be importing other classes. So in the tank.h, unless we're inheriting from pawn like we are here, that's fine, but we shouldn't be importing the tank aiming component.h. So here's your challenge for this video. Move to forward declarations. Firstly, report that bug to Epic if you wish. Recap the forward declarations video if you need to. Then move to forward declarations in all the header files, making sure you really understood that content. And then test your game still runs. So go ahead, pause the video, and let's move to forward declarations and generally have a look over our code right now. So welcome back. Let's do this pretty quickly. So the tank aiming component, we don't need that hash included in the tank.h, but we are going to need it in the tank.cpp. Then you ask yourself in the tank.h, why did we put tank aiming component in the first place? Well, that will be because it's used here, tank aiming component. So what we want to do is simply say class utank aiming component. I might label this section as forward declarations. Okay, and now we're getting very explicit about what's going on. Right, very cool. Let's go through all of the header files. This one is good because we need pawn, because we're inheriting from pawn and we always have it generated. Okay, AI controller. It's importing the tank, naughty naughty. That should be in the tank AI controller.cpp. So we import battle tank, we import the tank, and then we obviously include the header, its own header file. Cool. So in the AI controller header file, we say, well, why did we bother importing the tank in the first place? Because somewhere down here we have a tank, which is where we then do a forward declaration class A tank. All right, keeps life simple. Tank aiming component, that's fine. It is an actor, so it must import actor, and the generated is normal. Let's move on. The barrel, nothing funny going on here. It is a static mesh, and it imports a generated file. Cool. Player controller, any funny business? Yes, there's a tank. So we move the tank include from the tank player controller header file over into the code file. In here, you go back to the header file. ask the question, do I really need it? You do, because we're using the type there. So then we do a forward declaration for the tank. Fast, furious, but simple. Hopefully that was simple for you. If you're not sure what the hell I was doing there, then please go back to the video on forward declarations and that will explain it. So I'm just going to compile now, make sure that this works, make sure that we get not only the game running as it was with all those forward declarations, but also that we get the aim solution every single frame, even if I let go of the mouse. Cool. So now we finally are in a position where we can use this structure to get the barrel elevating and then the turret rotating. The forward declarations, by the way, are nothing to do with that. That was just they needed doing, so I was getting them done. So that's it. See you in the next video.